Venom is a new Sony film based off the character from Marvel Comics. I'm not really well versed with Venom as a character. I know that he is a symbiote alien creature that lands on Earth and bonds to Peter Parker, making him a jerk, and then eventually lands on rival reporter or photographer Eddie Brock and becomes Venom. I've seen him in the 90s Spider-Man cartoon and the Sam Raimi film. So a lot of people like Venom, though. That's probably the reason why they made this movie. I was excited for it. Tom Hardy's in it. However, my friend picked up some tickets for us before the reviews dropped, and I found out that it has a really bad score on Rotten Tomatoes. But, you know, I'm game. I love Tom Hardy. And I have to agree with the critics. The movie's a total mess. The first, half hour is all build-up. We get to find out who Eddie Brock is. He is a sort of, Vice reporter of sorts. He likes to take down big corrupt figures. He's got a web reporter series show, I guess, and he had a big falling out in New York. He's living with his girlfriend Annie, and he messes up and tries to dig at someone who he shouldn't. Carlton Drake, played by Riz Ahmed, who's amazing in this film, by the way. So he loses his job, and he basically just starts becoming an alcoholic and an unemployed person, until a scientist from Carlton Drake's building has an emotional sort of change of heart, contacts him, gets him into the building. He tries to break out one of the homeless people that they're testing on. He gets infected with the symbiote. The movie spends a good almost 40 minutes, I think, probably half an hour to 40 minutes getting to that point. However, there's no breathing space. We don't get to find out what Venom is, and he doesn't get to talk to Eddie at all, because as soon as he gets the parasite, all of a sudden Carlton Drake's men are on him. There's this quick fight scene in an apartment, and there's this overly loud and over-directed car chase. They're chasing him on a motorcycle, and send 30 drones after him. They explode for no reason. So you got all these cars blowing up on the streets of California, and basically Eddie Brock, it has it's like that movie All of Me with Steve Martin, with another person's in his head, or Upgrade, another movie that came out this year that was really good. And Venom wants to sort of work with Eddie for some reason, we don't know why. And the movie just doesn't have a very interesting story. I mean, I don't really like Eddie Brock as a intrepid reporter. It's something we've seen before with Lois Lane, or any reporter, April O'Neil. And Venom himself isn't that intriguing. He's got a raspy voice. There's some good humor here and there. There's a scene in a restaurant that's pretty funny, and a lot of the action sequences are pointless, though. There's a scene where Eddie Brock's trying to break into his old workplace, and he does, but then all of a sudden a SWAT team, a gigantic SWAT team of 30 people, a little bit over response for someone. They don't know he's got the symbiote yet anyway. There's no way they could know. There was no way they could have known he was in the building, because he climbs up on the roof. So the response for that is just unrealistic. Venom takes out all these guys for no reason, and then we find out that there's another symbiote, and he wants to jump on a rocket so he can go to the symbiote planet and invade, I guess. So there's a really cool fight scene on a sort of spaceship docking area with all the Venom fights the other symbiote, and there's some cool imagery here and there. But overall, the movie's over-directed by Ruben Fleischer. He's done Zombieland, 30 minutes or less, and Gangster Squad, but none of the action sequences have any real meaning. They just sort of happen, and there's no stakes really in the fight scenes. It's just noise. And Venom and Eddie win, I guess, and the movie ends, and that's it. So I feel what was missing from this movie, I guess, was just the story itself. When a scene happens, it's so predictable that you can guess what's going to happen in that scene, such as, Eddie Brock talking with his boss, and his boss basically telling him, he's like, Eddie, don't be a crusader. I just want you to interview this guy, and I don't want you to do that thing you always do, try to take down big corporate types. Why would they send Eddie Brock to go do that if they know that's what he's known for? It doesn't really make any sense. And there's a lot of problems in this movie. I also noticed that it seemed uneven and messy, and it could have been more violent, but it wasn't. I think they toned down the sort of violence. It's very bloodless. It's a very bland movie. And the visual effects are okay, I guess. Got a big budget. I only watched this mainly for Tom Hardy, and at the very least, this movie's semi-entertaining because I like Tom Hardy and I like Michelle Williams, and she's okay. And my favorite part of the movie is obviously Riz Ahmed. He does such a good job with so little to do. He plays visionary, like an evil version of Elon Musk, basically. The way he talks and waxes rhetoric, he can say something that's such bullshit, but make it sound like Jesus to someone who he's talking to. You know, like, there's a scene where this homeless man's brought into a chamber and he's really scared, so he starts talking about the Bible and how the man's name was like a sacrifice in the Bible, and that together they're going to work together to try to change the world. And it's like such BS, but it's so calming. It's great performance. It's a very underrated performance by Riz Ahmed. That's probably that is my favorite part of the movie. He outshines Tom Hardy a little bit. Other than that, Venom is a misfire for me. I was really excited for it. I was bored throughout most of the movie. It's a long movie. So I give Venom a 4 out of 10.